What's up, everybody? Cappuccino in front of the camera today. Hey, listen, if you like what you see here today, don't be afraid to go to that YouTube channel, 216 Creator Studios. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ding that bell for the future notifications. Always appreciate your support. Another great episode here of Around the Piano with host Tim Paul, my music guy. Everybody's got a guy. I got my guy.
Who's my guy?
Well, you don't.
I don't
I'm
get
your
it.
guy.
You're my guy?
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
Cool.
That's a Chicago thing. You know what I'm talking about. We're talking about hand signals. I don't know what to do with my hands, but that's we're in the club. So first and foremost, Tim, when was the last time we did an episode? It's been a minute because summer, right?
It has been, yeah. What
Yeah.
did we do recently? We've done a couple of shows this summer.
Yeah, we've done a couple.
We've done, we had Lisa Rock and we had Mackenzie O'Brien. We had
Dude,
Jessica
Lisa Rock.
Starship.
She's amazing.
She is amazing.
You know, and her new show, Rock the Boat with Lisa Rock.
Love that show.
Don't forget, go to that YouTube channel, check her show out. She is fantastic.
She
and
really
very
is.
talented too. I love being surrounded by. I like being the dumbest guy in the room. That way, I get to learn consistently. It's fantastic.
Well, if Lisa's there, we're all the dumbest guys.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's new? Anything coming up?
You think coming up? We got the NAMM show coming up in January.
I
That's
know.
months away.
You and I have been planning that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Excited. And one of our guests today, I'm sure we're going to be sitting around the table with him again.
I think that could happen.
One of my favorites. And then I know that we're going to have to run an ad real quick, right?
Yes, let's run the ad.
Run an ad. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for taking a coffee break with us. We'll be back to our program in a minute, but hey, Drew, let's talk Piano Trends music for a minute here.
Piano trends, one of my favorite conversations. We're talking trumpets, we're talking pianos, we're talking saxophones, trombones, trumpet, you name it, guitars, acoustical guitars, customized guitars, lessons. Listen, books. They got everything. PianoTrends.com. Please check them out. Tim, what is it that you're known for at Piano Trends?
Service, rentals, sales, repair, lessons, everything. We're the small shop that does everything in our community.
Love it. Check them out. Shoot them a quick address if they want to come visit you.
35 Berkshire Drive, Crystal Lake, Illinois. But you can find everything on the website at PianoTrends.com.
PianoTrends.com. Thanks, folks.
See you later. All right, and welcome back, everybody, Around the Piano. We have a great episode. We want to bring our two guests in, very special guests. They've been on our show before. One of them's been on our show quite a bit. We want to welcome Mr. Thomas Claxton and Mr. Eric Ebel of NAMM himself. How you doing, guys?
Gentlemen, great to see you again.
What's up? How's it going?
Fantastic. We're doing today, this is kind of the first in a series that we want to do on careers in music. Yeah. We figured this is an important topic for people who sometimes just think if you got a career in music, it's a hobby. And what do you do during the daytime? You know, and that's certainly not the case. So I want to ask Eric first, because tell us what the Consider a Career in Music initiative is at NAMM. If you could give us kind of a heads up on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And great to see you, Thomas.
Yes.
Speaking of careers in music, it started with actually the teacher shortage. 2 years ago, we were at Midwest Band Clinic and we were talking about the incredible music teacher shortage that we're seeing. Fewer and fewer music education majors, and it's a huge issue. There are probably 25 states where you come out of school with a teacher music education degree, 100% job placement. I mean, about half the states in the United States are really suffering from a lack of music educators. So we started down that road, and we started talking, and the conversations quickly led to, well, what about, why are there only two pathways? I mean, growing up, and still today, the myth that if you choose a career in music, you're choosing a life of poverty and hardship. And it's romantic and all that, right? You suffer for your art and all that, but it's not true. If you're talking about a musician, yeah, that's a pretty tough road, but it's definitely a road. I mean, Thomas, you're a great living example of that. Fulfilling career. but there are so many other careers in music that most students, and especially their parents, school counselors, don't think of. And so that's what the initiative all about. It's about opening doors to students, letting them know, especially sorry to use this phrase, but the low-hanging fruit. Music students that have been in music classes for sometimes 6, 8 years, 8 years, sometimes with only 2 teachers, and the same group of kids learning how to become musicians, basically, and learning all these life skills that are so transferable to every other career, are basically told, maybe not verbatim, but they're told in so many different ways that a career in music is 1 or 2 things. And that results in about, even though there's 40 to 50% of kids in high school participate in music, only about 1 to 2%, maybe 3% on the really optimistic side, end up in a career that's even related to music. And so what we're doing, in a sense, is nurturing this love for music, and for these students, the best and brightest on most campuses, and we're basically saying, see ya after high school, unless you're a performer, or you want to be a performer, or you want to be a music educator. So that's very long-winded. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this, so we'll talk more about it, I'm sure. But that's the catalyst, and I'm happy to talk more about what we're doing in that realm.
Well, I love how you bring up the fact of the suffrage of an artist. That's what they were called, starving artists, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough, right? Listen, I'm not a musician, but if we're gonna use Thomas as our example today, because obviously he's here on screen. But I mean, listen, a talent that he had. He is the instrument. He has tuned it. His style is fantastic. And I'm sure he's had a lot of tough road going down the path to get where he wanted to get, and had found those mentors. And the one thing I really admire about Thomas is that he finds the who that knows the how. If he doesn't know it, he finds the who that knows the how, and then learns from it, and then puts that in his network. I mean, the gentlemen that he rolls with are some legendary people, and he just builds those relationships. And everybody that we have met through Thomas is just so humble, and are gracious and willing to mentor if they need to, or to give back, which is fantastic. And I think part of a career, and no matter what the career is, and listen, low-hanging fruit is not a bad word. It's where you need to be sometimes, and that's where you keep your humble state. You got to start from somewhere, man. And my other businesses, we that's all we go for is low-hanging fruit. So why not in the music world, right? And that's where you gain that ripple effect. The ROI on everything is ripples on impact for me. It's not return on investment. It's dropping that rock in the pond and watching those ripples and how far those go out to gain the awareness of who you are and what you do. Mm-hmm. And that's how you build those relationships. So I love how you put that right off the bat. Thomas, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Look, I'd absolutely share in Eric's passion for this. The starving artist thing always rings home because, of course, it's a little different for me. I've had a little bit of an unconventional career, but I definitely went through my phase of eating hot dogs on sandwich bread. You know what I mean? There were times when you didn't know what was next, and you didn't know how you were going to pay your bills and things like that. And when you devote the life to music, it can be a rocky road if you're going down that road as a performer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's, I always tell all the students that I get to work with today that if your main focus is fame and fortune, you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment right out the gate. It's not that you won't ever achieve it. It's just that, most people don't achieve that through a performing career in the music industry. And it's like saying, it's no different than anything else, like football, for example. There's only so many NFL quarterbacks, and there's only so many positions, so it is what it is. I've always believed in getting creative with it. And figuring out what worked. And I tell students, I've told you guys all the time, to put down the cell phones sometimes. I mean, they're a beneficial thing, but you got to go out and shake hands the old school way sometimes. I've used every opportunity that I was afforded, which, I'm probably more blessed than what I deserve in a lot of ways, but anything that was ever put in front of me, don't say no. If it's going to benefit you in some way and you can help impact what the other side of the fence is doing, then go for it. I remember meeting Eric the first time. We were, I was talking with Crystal Morris over at Gator Cases, and she and I and Alan Friedman and Ron Beanstalk had an idea to put together this fun after thing at the NAMM show for Summer NAMM back when we were doing that in Nashville. And NAMM, believe me, I know what kind of a huge honor it was. I had to report everything and I had to do all that kind of stuff and make sure they all knew what was going on. But they basically let me run that event and, pretty much said, you just tell us what you need. That was a heck of an opportunity. And I took that and just kept in touch with everyone. Eric and I don't get to probably talk as much as we'd like to these days, but we still, talk when we can. And, I've maintained a pretty good relationship with NAMM over the years through that. And that was kind of my foot in the door. And that's what, with that particular organization. And that's what a lot of young people have to understand. Don't say no to opportunities. You never know what's going to lead to what. You never know. I have people that I work with today that I met 15 years ago and didn't do anything with for over 10 years. And then 5 years later, ago, we just happened to reconnect and something turned into something else and it went somewhere. So
You just never know.
it's about being persistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the ripples on impact effect.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
And like Tim, in careers, so there's a lot of unsung heroes when it comes together to put a production together, right? And I'm sure that's the same case for putting on a show. It's the people that know the back end. Now, listen, I own the studios here, right? So I got a producer in the back, and he knows the equipment. He knows what needs to be done, the sound, the camera, the editing, the marketing of it, the whole nine yards. There's so much that kind of goes into it. And that also is part of the career into the music side. Now, listen, if you're a musician and you're trying to make your break of it, sometimes the best way to get involved in that is some of the backstage stuff. And that's how you meet other people. And, Thomas hits it on the head, man, every time he says you can put that hand out and shake it,
Absolutely.
and how you meet other people. And if you learn certain parts of it, like my daughter was in theater, okay, and she wanted to be on stage so bad, and she wanted to play the main part, and she did. She played a couple parts, and she's good at what she did. And then the third year, when she got to get in a play, she took backstage production, and she didn't want to be on stage. And I said, why did you do that? And her answer to me, and this is brilliant, coming from like a 13-year-old kid, was, well, it gives me an opportunity on how to learn all of it. And if I can learn all of it, now I can make it, and then it's mine. And she said, not only that, I get to see the mistakes that people do on stage and learn from their mistakes as well. I thought it was brilliant. And so, now she knows how to be a producer. She knows how to make it and how to build it. So I think that in careers now, are there classes, and this is my ignorance speaking, I don't know, are there classes for stuff and backstage production? I know Tantera out of Florida does a lot of mixed board type situations, right? Mm-hmm. Am I right about that, Eric? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right. It's an interesting part of this. I went to school counselors, right? I've been going to school counselor conferences. Of course, we used to call them guidance counselors back in the olden days. Well, school counselors, I assumed they would have all the information for music careers, but they had the same two pathways sort of entrenched. You can either play, and there was a hierarchy, and we've all experienced that. You can play, and that's for the two kids in band that are like hot shots, or you can teach if you can't play, right? Which is ridiculous. And then everybody else is kind of left to understand that there's nothing else. So school counselors had that same idea. Anyway, so talking to school counselors, they're so hungry for this information because of all the workforce development stuff that's happening across the skilled trades are now cool again, which is extremely cool, that's happening. There's there's important, right? And so as part of this developing career resources for these counselors, I started researching, what are those post-secondary, when you get out of high school, what are your options? If you want to be an expert stage manager, or you want to know how to be a lighting director, or you want to know how to run a tour, all the things that go into all the stuff that Thomas does when he's up on stage. Thomas knows that there's 100 people behind him, or 200 people. They're not only on site, but the guy that designed the strings, and the guy that marketed those strings, and the guy that sold those strings, and the guy that repairs those guitars, and the guy that finished that guitar, and the guy that marketed that guitar, and the HR director for all the people that worked on that guitar. I mean, the list is really, really long. So I started researching and found quickly, with the help of my AI assistant, hundreds and hundreds of schools, trade schools, community colleges, universities, regular programs, summer programs for all of these music industry pathways after high school. And I've put together, like, it's a 400 or 500 page list for each state that shows guidance counselors, school counselors, music educators, people, how you can direct a student. Because the number one thing that happens when I ask school counselors, when you have kids that are interested in music, and everybody has kids that are interested in music in their schools, of course, and they're usually, like I said, the best and brightest kids, and they come and they ask about a career in music, the number one answer was, I send them to talk to their band director. Oh. And of course, that's great, but not for anybody that wants to do anything besides performance or teach, right? Because this poor band director, this poor music educators, that's all they've been doing for their whole life, and it's what everything is measured on, right? You get an award for performance, you audition for a grade. It's all about performance, and it has to be, right? It has to be. That's what music education is about, is excellent product. But the byproduct of that leads to so many other careers that are just not known. They're just not thought of, And anyway, that's a really long-winded answer to your question. But yes, there are programs, and more schools are starting to do pathway or CTE programs across the United States that are really focused on career technical education, trade, and music is starting to get around that table. It's not there yet. They're still focusing on auto mechanics and plumbing and all those great skills. But there is a slot for music education, and a lot of music educators and music educator supervisors are going, hey, wait a minute. There's not really a more economical way, an efficient way to teach a kid all these life skills that Thomas unprompted listed, right? Yep. Curiosity, the ability to collaborate with people, the ability to listen when someone's talking, the ability to take a leadership position from behind, the ability to stand up in front of an audience and deliver something from your soul. These are all things that kids learn in music that are transferable to any profession. And yet the music industry is kind of saying, that was fun, see you later, and unless you're a guy like Thomas that said, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, I'm doing this. But that's rare. I mean, it really is rare. So anyway.
Back in the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. So back in the day, wanting a music career was almost frowned upon because people are like, that's not a job. Right? I mean, even let's go back to MTV days, what do you want to do with your life? I want to rock, right? I mean, listen, Twisted Sister, right? So they even broadcasted and marketed it in music to where, hey, when are you going to give up this little dream and go get a real job, right? Totally. But now the world has changed to, this is a job and it's a hard one. And not only that, it's, if you think that it's all glory and fame and easy, come try it, because it's not. It's a job, and it's tough. It's tough sob, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I love how Thomas is laughing at it. He's like, "Yeah, no, totally."
No,
But
well, no, I have a very specific story about that, but go ahead.
and I'm gonna love to hear that. But I know that for a fact. And I'll tell you this real quick: is schools and educators. There's programs now. There's ways to do this, and you guys is, you're pointing in that direction. You're pointing people there, like, hey, no, it's over here. Let me direct you to where to go. And listen, if you are not a singer, or if you're looking to just get involved and then learn from there, that's how many people find their mentors. And you don't need just one. Get as many as you can, that are in the industry. Build it up from there. But having the education out there from people that can actually do things is important. And now it's part of the world. Music is not just an art, it's a career, it's a life, it's a lifestyle, it's a culture, which makes it a beautiful thing. That's why I love NAMM so much, because you guys broadcast it, you starcast it, right? And that's important. That's really important to do. I'd love to hear this story, Thomas.
Well, it's funny because when you say it's almost frowned upon, I mean, that was literally what I grew up in. And I don't tell this story to, I don't tell it from a woe is me standpoint. I'm not a victim. I don't believe in that victim mentality stuff. Okay. I say this story because I try to tell students this as much as possible, because I'm like, listen, I know what you're going through. The principal in the high school that I grew up in, you guys, I've told Tim and the guys this, but I don't think Eric's ever heard this story. But you remember career day? Everybody had career day in high school, and all the kids in Georgia, or the Savannah area, I'm going to spend the day with my uncle on the ports, and I'm going to go to my dad's job at the paper mill, and they got to me and they were like, what do you want to do for career day? And I'm like, well, I want to hang out with a guy named Brad Adams, who taught me how to play guitar. And they said, well, why do you want to do that? And I said, because I'm going to be a musician when I grow up. And the principal laughed at me and literally told me that and word for word, that I was living a pipe dream. And then pulled me into a student teacher conference with him, me, and my mom and another teacher. And the teacher told my mother, quote unquote, that I had a snowball's chance in hell of getting a solid career in the music industry, and that I needed to start getting serious about life because adulthood was right around the corner and I needed to focus on something different. And that would have discouraged a lot of kids. Me, I mean, you kind of know my personality. I kind of flipped them one of those fingers, and was like, hey, I don't care what you have to say. That's what I told you I wanted to do.
For you, I'm sure. Yeah.
It kind of poured gas on the fire, but it was, and I hate to use something so, that was kind of a negative experience for motivation, but it was what it was, but it happened. I'm not saying I got no support. I mean, the chorus teacher in my middle school and high school years was the one person, who was consistently telling me, ignore what they're telling you. If you want to do this and it's really what your goals are and that you want in your future, then you need to go for it. I mean, she was consistent about that. But outside of that, I grew up in a small town, and, I tell everyone all the time, if I wanted to be a football player, I would have probably gotten a full assistant to a scholarship, all this kind of stuff, it wouldn't have been any problem. Even though that's even more unlikely than being a musician, to be honest with you. But they would have helped me with that. But I didn't get the help in the music stuff. Sure. And saying that, I got to give a big shout out to one of those schools that Eric is referring to. Maybe not by name, but the Gretsch School of Music, which Miss Dinah Gretsch and Mr. Fred Gretsch are the namesake of, over at Georgia Southern University. They have a music industries program where they don't only teach, singing and all that kind of stuff and how to play your instrument, but they also teach the behind the scenes stuff and how to go on into other careers like Eric is talking about. There is so much. and I gotta reiterate too, and echo what the other guy said. There's no shame in that low hanging fruit thing, and the reason why I say there's no shame in it is because if you want the best long term trajectory in the music industry, you have got to start off in the right place, and you got to know your role. And sometimes your role is the low rung on the ladder. And you have to always keep in mind that everybody in the music industry, I say everybody, you know which kind of people I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the anomalies here, but most of us started off on the low rung of the ladder, and we were right above ground level. Sometimes you couldn't even tell that we had stepped off the ground yet.
Yeah.
And and like as successful as I consider my career, I haven't even gotten to the halfway point of that ladder. But that just shows you, in my opinion, that you can have a very successful career. And then the age old question is, what defines success? It's like, I mean, that to me, that's a big one, because personally, some people look at it like, well, success is, like I said, fame and fortune. Not to me. I always considered success, if you could pay your bills doing what you love to do, you're successful, period. I mean, even if all you've got is a phone bill, it doesn't matter. If you paid that bill and kept your lights on and all that kind of good stuff, playing music or being in the music industry or whatever aspect of that business you want, then yeah, you're a successful person. I mean, most people can't say that they are making money and paying their bills off of their passions. So I'm a firm believer in that.
It's true, and I think the difference is people have to. You can't listen to people who tell you you can't do it. You have to have the perseverance to fight through that. I know my wife Bobby has had thousands of students over the years, and she's had students that have gone on to have careers in music performance and also as teachers, either as band directors or private music teachers. But she's also had students that didn't fit that mold, but they went into music therapy, and so they're still in the music business. She even had a student that went on to become a set designer and works in theaters. So it's without the encouragement, though, a lot of people will give up and go into something else. They don't all have the perseverance of a Thomas Claxton. So it takes mentors to give them that courage to continue on.
Well, but believe me, what's so crazy about this too is that a lot of those types of jobs that we're talking about are the future. And people feel like, well, technology advances and so must, those types of jobs. Not necessarily. In my opinion, I think AI is going to replace those types of things. But the jobs that AI will not replace are the jobs like the linemen in the electric companies and the people that are going out and doing the hard work and stuff like that, because they can't do that kind of stuff. They're not going to replace stagehands. They're not going to replace, those types of things. And I don't care how advanced technology gets. I really don't. Nothing is ever, and I will reiterate this to any performing artist, nothing is ever going to genuinely replace you, period. No hologram concerts, no nothing like that is ever going to take away the real feeling of human beings standing on a stage. So AI is not going to go in there and take over much stuff. AI might be a successful and helpful tool in a lot of ways, and it might take some of those types of jobs, but like I know some graphic designers these days that are finding things a little more difficult, but it is what it is. This is just the way things go sometimes. But there are plenty of jobs out there that are going to not be affected because human beings are absolutely necessary for these things, and there's plenty of that in the music industry too, like Eric was talking about.
Well, and that's 100. You nailed that on the head, Thomas. I mean, listen, AI is a tool, and it's never about what happens to you; it's what you do about it. I love when people tell me I can't do something because that's just the extra step I go, okay, to prove different. I love that. That gives me the boost to do more. And listen, my college education was based on failure. I have failed so many times in so many different things that I have learned so much. And then networking outwards to people who know how to do things that have helped me grow to where I want to be. And yes, the success ladder is each rung of the ladder is a success. I love the fact that, and you told me this story, Thomas. You're like, when I was younger, I wanted to be successful, and that would have been like playing with the people that I listened to, and that's what you're doing now, which is brilliant. So I absolutely love it. So listen, and transparency. This is my third year going to NAMM,
Right.
and I absolutely enjoy going there. I'm a NAMM addict now.
You're part of the NAMM.
That's right. I'm a NAMM guy, and when I go there, I see what's brilliant about this is you would always think that with so many people show up for one spot and there's loud music happening that it would be absolute chaos, but it's not. It's absolute love, and it's. I've never seen a fight break out there. I've never seen. Everybody's about everybody, and it's you're all enjoying the same thing. No AI in the world can set up that a NAMM production. I'm sure, right, Eric? I mean, so yeah, there's those jobs are going to always kind of happen, and when you and here's a question for Thomas as well is. Knowing how to read a room is really important, especially in your industry. I think we've both witnessed a few things too, like, somebody pretending to be a manager to somebody and they're going to take them to the stars, but you already know they're ruining somebody's life. So are there tricks of the trade on how to read that in a room before you get involved in it?
Go ahead, Eric. You want to answer that first? Or you want me to answer? Or you want me to answer it? Or
yeah, answer that. Yeah, I have some thoughts, but go for it, Thomas.
To me, I don't know if there's like necessarily a trick to a trade for it. I mean, I think the key to most things in the music industry is learning the business. And when you learn the business side of it, you become savvy to things, and then you kind of figure out who's full of it and who's not, because you understand it yourself and you're not just trusting the word of someone who's telling you something that you might yourself be ignorant in. And I mean, I see it all the time. There are people that are making blind, baseless promises to young and up and coming artists, especially a lot of young female artists. They think they're beautiful, or the person thinks that this artist is beautiful, so I can give you all this. I can give you all these things. You see it all the time. It's, and then you're standing there off to the side going, oh my goodness, as soon as this dude walks away, I'm going to go over there and tell him what's up, but it's, it's really, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
I say we've witnessed you doing that at trade show, actually.
Oh no, I've seen it so many times. It's unbelievable. Personally, I never cared about that aspect of the business when it comes to like fame and stuff like that. I didn't want any part of it. I grew up in a small town, like I said, and it was just being, followed and harassed and all that the celebrity lifestyle, I had zero interest in that. I think I went through my phase of it at one point, but then I was like, that actually doesn't sound great. I was much more interested in being the guy that some of those well-known people would call for certain things, like I'm your guy. I'm here for you when you need me to be. No problem. What can I do for you? That sort of stuff. Let's put on a badass show. Let's do something great. But I don't necessarily have to be, that celebrity level type thing. I love being respected by my peers, and that's good enough for me.
Yep. I love it. Very authentic. You're right. Very.
I mean, and I totally agree, Thomas. And just to point to the aspect of music education and what ensemble playing in an ensemble, think about as a middle school kid, you are learning how to suss this out, because without anyone teaching you, it's not in the curriculum, but right? Because you can't lie once you're on stage. You either got it or you don't got it. You can't, all of that bravado just goes away immediately. That's why you see, such diversity in certain areas of music. You see all kinds of different personalities, because it's really not about who can talk the most. It's about who can perform, right? It's, again, a performance track. But, I just, you mentioned the NAMM show. There's so many topics we could really explore here, but you mentioned the NAMM show. If you've ever been to the NAMM show, you just look out at 100,000 people and you see the music industry, right? All of those people have careers in music. And here's the thing that I didn't know. I mean, I was all about performance all through school. I was in the Marine band and performed all over the world as a Marine musician, and then got out, went to LA and was, just doing that. And then I realized my personality type could not stand that independent contractor vibe. I just had my personality really needed to know where the next paycheck was. I'm married to someone who can't even imagine what that would be like. She would never survive in that world. And there's a lot of kids like that too, that just give me some tools and I'll go out and make it. I don't want to work for anybody, kind of thing. But that wasn't me. But I didn't know that until I was in my mid-20s. And then luckily I started working for a cymbal company and went, wait a minute, all these people are just like me. And so what you come to understand is it's important what you do for a living. That's important. That's an important choice. But before you make that choice, think about who you want to do that with. And Thomas makes that choice every single minute of every single day, because he is an independent business. He is his entity, right? Tim, you make that same choice, when you're like, whether you're performing, I think you're an organist at a sports, for a sports team or something, that's a musician job. And now you're running a retail store and managing people and introducing people to music. That's probably not what you envisioned. This working for NAMM is not what I envisioned as a young child, because I didn't know any better. Didn't know anything about all the careers that were here. But as soon as I stepped out onto the NAMM show floor, I went, wait a minute, wait a second. These are all my people, to your point, and they're all, you ask anybody on that show floor if they're in the music business, and they'll say yes, without hesitation. And very few of them are famous musicians that are sort of held up. In a lot of ways, I think when we ask someone if they want to have a career in music, we might as well be saying, do you want to win a Grammy? Because, you know what I mean? Of course I want a career in music. Who wouldn't want to be that star? But it's because we framed it in the wrong way. And I just feel like, the music industry is growing exponentially. It's going to grow. Instruments we haven't even envisioned, ways to make music are coming that we can't even imagine, jobs that we can't even imagine, and the industry will keep growing. We want all these people like Thomas. We want people in music like Tim, like people that have grown up in music. We want them to be the engineers. We want them to be the people that are inventing new instruments. We want them to be the people that are managing huge workforces. We want that creative thinking. We want that interpersonal, all those skills that come through music. Before we say goodbye, we want them. I love the statistic that, more than anything else, doctors, people in the medical profession are musicians, right? They come from that background. Sure. And that's great. Wonderful. I want those kind of people having all the skills that I learned as a musician and continue to learn. But we also want those musicians and all those students to know that there's a place for them. If you care about music, you love music, it's your thing, there's a place for you in the industry. No matter what your thing is, there's a place for you in the industry. And that's not the message that that's not the story we've been telling. Because I don't know why, but my hunch is it's kind of romantic, to be damn the torpedoes. I'm going to do this no matter what. Everybody tells me I can't. I'm going to do it. That's awesome. But not every kid is like Thomas. Not every kid is just going to say, screw you, I'm doing this. Right. Or they may, and so talking to parents and talking to school counselors, I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're still telling that same story. It's a starving artist thing. Are you sure you want to do music? Well, maybe major in something else and do music as a hobby. Or, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, we defined a music career in a very limited way, in a very small box. And I mean, we've done that, so we can undo it. So that's good. But it's really encouraging to hear this kind of conversation go on, because everybody that I know that's in music, and I'm not talking about the people on stage, I'm talking about everybody else, they are confident that they are in the music business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's not a second base situation at all. It's not a fallback. It's like, but most everybody fell into it. and I use that word specifically. Most everybody I know is like me or like Tim, that went in one direction and then fell into this other thing and realized, hey, this is cool. I like this. Actually, I really like this. So anyway, like Thomas, I'm really passionate about it. I could talk for hours and hours about this stuff.
Well, and that's
shut me up.
Well, no. By all means, all good stuff, man. I absolutely love it. And Tim here doesn't say much, but he is a sleeper in that industry. When I start talking to him and his wife, his lovely wife, such talent that comes off of both of them. And then the people that they've met and know, we were talking one day and tuning pianos. He's like, yeah, well, when I used to tune Liberace's piano, I was like, wait, what? He was like, oh, yeah.
Once, one time.
But still, right? If you're in that industry and you're one that gets a call to tune a Liberace's piano, that's kind of a big deal. And so, his whole life has been wrapped around. I mean, your mom, right?
My mom was a concert artist and a teacher, and my father couldn't play a note.
No.
I mean,
so he's like me.
So he became kind of.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be involved in music with the family, so he became a piano tuner.
Yep.
And it was great. So the whole family has always been that way.
Yep.
But you don't expect to. I certainly didn't expect to be. I never thought ahead that this would be where I would end up in music. In the 70s, I thought I was either going to be a ballpark organist forever or a rock star. But then I discovered that I played piano well enough to own a music store. So that's kind of how it evolved doing that. But there's so many stories of how a passion leads to music. And I'm sure both of you guys, Eric, I know you know people. What are some of your favorite, maybe one of your favorite stories of somebody who had a passion for music and it ended up in a career in music, but maybe in an unexpected way?
Yeah.
Well, besides me and my story, I've done interviews with probably 3 or 4 dozen artists. I still have you on my list, Thomas. I'll reach out to you, Tim, as well, because the interview series is called My Life in Music, and it's all about what you're just describing, Tim. It's not a straight path. When you look back, of course, it looks like a straight line, but when you're on it, it's all over the place, right? And that's one of the skill sets that you learn as a music student. You learn how to adapt and pivot. Somebody hits a wrong note next to you, you adjust. They're playing flat, you adjust. Thomas, you do this like instinctually. There's no, you don't even think about it. It's just what you do as a performer, right? So we all learn this. But one of my favorite stories was this guy, he high school drummer, rock and roll drummer, moved to LA to be in, this isn't my story, although it sounds very familiar. Moved to LA to make it big, had the big hair and the big drums, and was in the 80s. He loved gear though. He really loved gear. And so he needed a gig while he was trying to make it as a musician, like everybody. And so he decided to work for Center Staging. Thomas, Center Staging. We probably all know that. One of the biggest backline type companies, rehearsal companies in the world. And so Center Staging is, he starts working, just pushing, he's basically a case pusher, and start pushing stuff and delivering drums and delivering stuff. Well, flash forward 30 years, he's the head of their backline production, and he does shows like the Grammys, and he does shows like the BET Awards, and he's put all his kids through college. He's got an amazing career, and that guy is in music. Has a career in music, and he still plays all the time, which is the other thing that I wanted to bring up. Tim, of course, you're surrounded by instruments, but here at NAMM, I'm not surrounded by music instruments, but everyone that I know that's in the industry, and like the rest of us, we all know hundreds of people in the industry, and guess what? They all play still, because it's really recognized inside this industry that playing music is a really great asset. It's not some sort of side hobby that distracts my workers. It's something I really want you to do. Once again, you know, what you do is important, but who you do it with is kind of primary, right? Who you
I think it's the most important.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. That's been my experience in the 61 years I've been on the planet. It's about,
isn't that kind of the old saying? I mean, you know, I hate to put it so crassly, you know, but we used to always joke around, you know, you smell like what you step in. And it's a very similar way to look at it. I mean, if you hang out, you know, with 5 losers, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th.
That's right.
It's the way it is. You surround yourself with what your goals and aspirations are, and you know who you can trust, and you find those people. So I agree with Eric 100%.
Yeah. If you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. 100%.
That's right. That's right. You know, sometimes I'm talking to high school students at career days. You mentioned career days, right? And so it was at a music conference. So they're all musicians. They're all music kids. And they're all walking around those pods, right? There's the drummers, there's the brass players, there's the horn players, there's the flute players. They're all in pods, and you can almost pick out what they were. And so they come walking up to me, and I start talking about music careers, and they push one kid to the front. That's the hot shop drummer I'm talking about specifically. And they're saying, "Yo, yeah, he's going to school for performance. He's a great drummer." I'm like, okay, great. So I can already tell they've been brainwashed to think that no one else has a shot in music except for that one kid. In fact, he doesn't have any choice. He's already been railroaded into this performance career. So we talk, and I can tell that they're really tight, this group. It's a drum line. And so I say, you know, imagine that you could work the rest of your life with people just like the guys that are standing around you right now. Like, you know, those relationships, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've been together for 7 years since middle school." I'm like, yeah, you could have a career. Your whole career could be surrounded by people like that, no matter what you love, whether you're really into office work, or you're really into numbers, or you're really into writing, or you're really into engineering, or you're really into working with your hands and you want to make a guitar like this, or if you're really into performing, if you're really into so many careers. And it was like you could hear a pin drop, you know, it was just like someone just dropped a grenade in the center of their group, and they just thought, "We never thought of that. Oh, wow. Really? Are you serious?" And I swear it's as simple as that. Just letting kids know there's a place for you in this industry, and it's all music, and it's all wonderful. It's a great industry to be part of. And we have these sort of figureheads like performers like Thomas, and we can say, look, that's one thing. But when you see Thomas on stage, you're looking at about 95 careers or more, depending on how many pedals you have, right? Every single product that guy is holding, including the stool he's sitting on probably, has a long stream of people that are part of the music industry. And, you know, so anyway, I get riled up.
Too, I love how you're mentioning all these different positions, and you mentioned it before when I watched Thomas perform on stage at NAMM. The gratitude he gives everybody for doing what they do right there and then. Not like, "Hey guys, it was a great show." It's right there and then. "Oh hey, oh no, hey, thank you very much." I mean, he was and he points to people, and they're like, "Hey Tom, you know, I got you."
Yeah.
And he is 100% a team player with everybody. Nobody's above anybody, nobody's below everybody. It takes that team to make that performance happen, and I've seen him do it. And that's one of the things about Thomas that I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, me too.
You know, which is fantastic.
Well, I mean, even my concert series is kind of built around that premise, you know, that because I started that concert series as a way to kind of shed light on the behind the scenes aspect of what was the musical timeline of your life. You know, everybody knows that famous person, okay? Especially their hardcore fans. They all know that person, but they don't know who wrote those songs 9 times out of 10, and they don't know who recorded them, and they don't know about the session guys who, you know, and the engineers and the attorneys and the accountants and all these types of people that work on these different projects. They don't have any idea what really went into that music itself, and what went into developing that artist, you know, into the celebrity and the iconic person they would become. And that's what I enjoy shedding light on. So I bring out the session players and the guys who were the touring bands and things like that. And we talk about those guys, you know, because that what you're seeing is, like Eric is saying, a fraction of the big picture. And that's kind of one of the things. And you know, I'll expand on the gratitude a little bit, because, you know, NAMM itself has been incredibly life-changing to me. I don't know any other way to put that, you know, because I was told years ago, you know, hey, you need to go to NAMM. And I was, you know, so I always heard about NAMM. The drummer in my band back in Savannah is Paul Cooper, who's the director of operations for Gretsch USA. You know, so he does all the stuff for the Gretsch custom kits that go out around the world. He's making kits for the Heartbreakers. So, of course, I heard about NAMM from Paul all the time, but I don't think I was ready for it. And, you know, everything happens in the timing it's supposed to. But when I went to NAMM the first time and I started, you know, networking and developing those new friendships and relationships, I mean, they changed my life and my career, you know, so it is what it is. I mean, so I got nothing but love and respect for that organization. And I got to say right here, yes, you know, thank you guys for everything. I mean it, from Eric to Zach and the whole crew down there. You know, John, our new CEO, is an amazing guy, and you know, he's been a big help. And you know, even our buddies in NAMM, you know, Alan Friedman, Ron Beans, Paul, you know, all the guys, you know. So thank you to NAMM.
Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't be where we are, and I don't think our store would be around without what we learned at NAMM shows. You know, being in the music industry, sharing the knowledge with everybody there. That's part of being in an industry, in the music industry in particular. And you know, guys, I can't believe where the time goes. This is why this is the first in the series. So we want to have you guys back in series 2. And Drew and I actually met at a career day at school, and we had more people come to see us because we were talking about music careers and podcast careers at that time. Than the other classes had. They put us in a room and they had standing room only waiting outside to talk about music careers. So which is
kind of brilliant in that fashion, because when we came together, Thomas has been to our studio and it's changed a lot since you've been here. Next time you're in town, either of you guys, if you're in town, make sure you come on by. Our house is your house. But, you know, we were able to come together and create a facet that is, our word is helping. We like to help as many people as we can. Our goal is to help as many as we can. Money usually follows the word help anyway, so we don't care about that.
Right.
If we can help as many as we can, we're building relationships at the same time. So Tim's like, hey, let's go to NAMM together, and I'll show you what that's all about. So when we got there, I was like, wow. So I started filming, and I was able to film some bands, and then we were able to interview some bands. And now we built some relationships with these bands at the same time. I met a gentleman last year, Mr. Wish.
Dave
Wish. What a great guy. Music teacher. He wore the weird hat that had lights on it, and he was pushing this drum kit, and he did it, and he built this drum kit to be portable, so schools can make it affordable for schools. So the number one thing he said, he's like, everybody wants to get on a drum set, but nobody wants to wait their turn. No, you don't have to, which is awesome. And he built this thing on our patio at the Hilton while we interviewed him, sat on the table on this drum kit and rocked out Wipeout for us, which was awesome. So we got to meet.
The thing is, I could totally see Dave doing that.
Oh yeah. So I got to meet some great people, and coming around. If you know, Thomas brought Scotty Page and Carmen Rojas and Eddie Martinez to our table, and we got to interview them, and we want to make that a routine every year, until they kick us out of the restaurant. I don't know at that point, but which is getting close.
Which came close last year, actually. Yeah.
Hey, don't worry. I'll just look at him and go, hey, do you know who this is? This is Tim Paul. Tim Paul.
You kicked out.
You know, you do not kick us out of the restaurant when we're talking to Tim Paul, buddy.
Up with this email. Send all the emails. That's right.
Do you know who we know? We know Zach Phillips, lady. I'm telling you, you better.
That's right.
Alan Friedman.
Oh man,
that's right.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking to me though, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, that's the opportunity that NAMM gives everybody, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're inventive, if you're creative, if you're an artist, a sketch artist, t-shirt creators, I'm live streaming podcasting, I mean, you name it. And if it wasn't for Tim, we have a full band room in our studio now that we do for garage bands with, full multi-track recording capabilities. And you don't need to bring your instruments. He owns a store full of instruments. We'll set up whatever you need, he is also part of a theater here locally, to where now we can interview the band. They can play or practice and then go to the theater when they're ready to go. So we've created an ecosystem, which we're proud of. And a lot of that creativity is because we went to NAMM and it sparked these ideas.
Absolutely.
Which is fantastic. So we thank you for that, for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a great industry. It's a great organization. The organization is just the name of this community. And this community is spectacular. And that's why I'm so passionate. I know we're all so passionate about, and this initiative especially, I'm so passionate about it because my life is different because of this community. It's better. And I want every kid to have that, at least have that option, at least to know that it is an option and not to, sort of fall into some lucky gig like I did.
Right.
So I'm really, as all of us, probably working to pay it forward to the next generation of kids. Because when the music industry thrives, music thrives. And when music thrives, the world's a better place. And I just think there's nothing more I can do as a human than to try to help kids understand that and have that opportunity. And I feel like we're all of that same mind, whether we're making podcasts or selling instruments or performing to thousands of people or pushing a program for careers in music. And we're all in the music industry and we're all doing that. And I couldn't be prouder to be part of this industry and to be part of this group here today. So thanks, Tim, so much.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys coming on.
We'll be back. Part 2 coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stay tuned, folks, for part 2. If you like what you see here, make sure you check us out on YouTube, 216 Creator Studios. Like, share, subscribe. Ding that bell for future notifications. Don't be afraid to be the change you want to see in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.